Testing, testing. Ah, I should have just tested the audio before I started, but it's good. It's now going. Hello there. How's it going? I'm not sure how many people are here at the moment. Might just be me. Because looking at the concurrent viewer count, I think one of those is me on the preview screen. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Um, if you're here, say hi in chat. And I will. I don't know. I've got some things I'm going to do today, but I might. I guess I'll just start working on some stuff that I was going to do with Godot things. And as people turn up, we can say hi and see how things are going. All right, where was I up to? Hey Mitchell, how's it going? I was wondering if anyone was coming. Part of me was like, look, if no one turns up, that's okay, because I have this other work to do, and I can't do the work on stream because it's like obviously work stuff. I can't just show it. But yes, I am doing well, Mitchell. Thank you for asking. Um, I think I'm going to go through Godot stuff and learn more about how the engine works, like getting actually into the engine now. And I really should start making game at some point, you know? I feel like I've been just kind of getting caught up in the tutorials and other stuff. I might actually have a look at the pull requests that I put in for the Godot tutorial, because I think I got some messages. I haven't actually read them yet. I was just going to do it on stream and see whether that's gone through or not. So let's have a quick look. There's the commit that I made, and there's another commit here from the dev Nathan. So that would be interesting to see. Oh yeah, imagine doing the main goal of the series. I can't. No, that's just that's just too much. That's over the top. We can't believe that that would actually happen. Okay. They said I'll get to this ASAP. I just have a course module I want to finish. I think we saw this and I liked it. And they said side quests all day, every day. You know something funny? I have gone back to play Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm doing that because I bought a new graphics card. And I think one of the first things I thought when I bought a new graphics card was like, what can I do to like witness the power of my new graphics card? And I whatchamacallit, I fired up Cyberpunk, and with the new graphics card was able to run it at like ultra settings with ray tracing on. I'm just like, I'm finally here. I'm finally doing Cyberpunk the way it was intended. And I've gone back in and I'm like intending to play the DLC, which I bought like, I don't know, a year or two ago, like a long time ago, and never played. And I still haven't. I've spent another like 20 or 30 hours in the game just doing all these side quests instead of the main quest. So, yeah, side quests all day, every day is entirely true. Okay, let me go across to, ooh, a scene which is no longer working, potentially because of my new graphics card. Let me just check on this. Ah, there we go. I just had to like, I think every time you make hardware changes, you need to what's some call it, just reset things in OBS and they're fine. Oh, you love the DLC. Oh, you're up to the Adam. Oh, you're up to the end somewhere. Is it? I don't know if that's the end, but like, yeah, and you feel like it's the end. So you're doing all the side missions. Can you do them afterwards? I'm not sure if you can, or it just has a save game from before you do the finale, and it like the game tells you going past here is the point of no return. So if you want to do side quests, do them here. Um, I like that you're saying that the DLC is one of your favorite stories in the game, so I'm keen. I have a feeling I should just stop stuffing around and go play the DLC story, and then I can stuff around afterwards because then I've seen the thing that I really wanted to see. Um, oh, interesting. So depending on like what loyalty you've gotten in certain side missions, people can uh people may or may not join you uh in the what's call it in the final mission or something. DLC stream. Oh, maybe I could stream some games again. I haven't actually gamed on stream this time around, this year while I've been streaming. We're actually getting on 6 months. Is it actually 6 months? Let me check when I first started doing this. Uh, did I write dates? 24th of March. So no, nowhere near 6 months. It was the end of March. So we're getting on the 3 months, I think. Yes. Okay. So what was I gonna do? It hasn't been. Yeah, yeah. I know it's this year, and this year is getting on 6 months, but that doesn't mean I've been streaming for 6 months. Okay. So go back to this because I actually opened it up when I was on the wrong screen before. So there was. Oh, right. I put a comment in the code here saying that this was going to be um explain how the inventory was being set up. But Nathan's saying they can't have comments in the code because they aren't translatable. So they must have automatic translation for other languages and they can't put it in the code. And he says, ideally, we'd want the starting code to be dynamic so we could just fill the inventory with strings or something. And also to be able to put a little more visible code in the code editor, but frozen so that beginners cannot break their practices by mistake. But well, that'll be for the course's remake someday. Okay, so current setup is not capable of putting uneditable code in the text editor, which I think is fine. So this is actually making me think that maybe they did not merge my changes because my changes are not going to help them. Thank you for your contribution. Left a comment for feedback, but directly made edits in your branch so you don't have to do anything to address it. They'll merge now. Okay. So something got merged. Let's see what it was actually. So merged and closed. The branch can be deleted, but like where are the final changes? So they changed one file. Okay. So it looks like they used a bunch of the text changes that I had to make it easier to see what's going on. I don't know how much of this is mine. Actually, let's have a look at the commits. Okay, so this is mine. And so this is this stuff. Right. So this comment's probably been taken out. Yeah, and let's see what Nathan did with this one. Yeah, okay. So slight edits to what I had to make it really specific that they're using the index to find the thing. I left off something? I just left off the closing quotes maybe there. And index. Ah, nice. Yeah, so making it clear it's the index of the item in the array. Yeah, Mitchell, I think so. It is like roughly the same thing. He's just put his edit pass on it so that it like kind of reads the way he wants to, which is good. And maybe there's more clarity in this thing now. So that's good. Should I review and like no, it's right. He's already merged it. Doesn't need me to say it's good. Okay, I will just leave a comment saying, yeah. Awesome. Glad to have helped. Um, do I need to say anything more than that? Should I say I'm keen to help on more stuff in the future? I don't know. I only helped because I happened to be there at the time. Yes, glad to have helped. I'll just say that. That's fine. Because it's like further, I'm just uh, like what else would I say when I'm not actually intending on getting on board with the project and doing more? So I'll just say I'm glad to have helped. Mitchell is asking, did I get Yishuan in Zenless Zone Zero? I did, because it looks like she is like, I don't know, you know those characters in gacha games that are like these kind of apex predator characters where you're like, I know that this is going to be like one of the most powerful things for me to use, so I'm getting her, right? I actually had to go to pity twice to get her, but then I got her Wenjin in the first 10 pulls, so it was just like, all right, that's kind of balanced out. So, same kind of number of pulls that I was expecting to spend. So, it's okay. Yeah, and I do love the counter characters. I think Caesar is my favorite character, so it's yeah, it's a nice combo. I haven't really got her gameplay down yet because I haven't actually bothered to spend the time to get the resources to actually have her going yet. So, um oh, you're spending resources on Astra instead of the Wenjin. Yeah, fair enough. I got Astra first time around, which is, I think, in the end, a very good decision because she's like one of the strongest characters in the game. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So I've got um Yishuan raised, but not enough drive discs yet. So I just need to actually put the time in to get them, or just spend a bunch of fuel because I've got like 80 fuel. So like, we'd be totally fine eventually. The funny thing is, like with the Kung Fu Panda guy, the same thing happened with Pulchra. So the most recent 4 stars, I don't have their Wenjins, like at all, not even a single copy. So I'll just have to use something else in the meantime and hope it all works out. I don't think it's super important. I don't think he's super gear dependent, so it won't matter too much. Yeah, the panda guy's great. I love that he's like a big panda who's a chef and stuff like that. It's very Kung Fu Panda. But I mean, I doubt DreamWorks has a monopoly on the idea of like panda characters in Chinese things. I think the Chinese company can do it, you know. Okay, so Chuck's fried rice appeal. Yeah, I know, that's awesome. Wears the wok on his head and stuff. Um, I wonder if I should show some visuals while we're talking about this because we've gone off on a tangent here. This is one of the new characters in Zenless Zone Zero. Let's see, full size image. Yeah, there he is. And so he's literally wearing a wok on his head, and some of his special moves is to pull it off, stir it, and then throw rice at people and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Um, okay, okay. What was I doing? I think I'd actually reached the point with Godot stuff where I was actually going to um go into the engine itself and start using it. A lot of people are saying they're going to get Jack Black to voice it. That would be so over the top, but also like hilarious because Hoyoverse is a big enough company that they could literally afford Jack Black as one of their voice actors. I feel like they wouldn't because they don't need to. Like, they don't get more. They're not going to make more money having Jack Black as a voice actor, so they probably wouldn't. Um, Also heard that the SAG-AFTRA strike over video games has ended. Like, they've reached some kind of agreement. So I think over the next kind of 6 months or so, we might see all the English voice actors returning to games like Zenless and Genshin and Honkai Star Rail and the other like kind of not just gacha games but other games as well. So that'll be nice to see them all coming back. Oh, sort of ended, Mitchell. So it's not entirely ended. There's like some kind of agreement, right? I heard that there's something where it's like it's might be back to work. Oh, some people can't work still. All right, all right. Okay, okay. Where was I? I was in getting started, wasn't I? And I was learning about these things. I'd already done that, I think. Had I done input? Let me go back to Godot. I don't know if that's Godot or it's an installer, but we'll see. All right, Mitchell's saying you don't know not sure the exact details, but some are coming back. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Um, which one of these? Oh, hang on, timestamps. This is my most recent one. Takes a while to load. Okay, Sprite 2D. Wait, did I write down where I was up to? Then Godot, get to the point where we have no, it was just like, we might get up to this point next. Yeah, no, I was vague. I didn't say where I was up to. I think I thought I would be back in it so soon that I would remember, but like, I don't know why I thought that, because like, remembering little things like that, not really my strong suit. Oh, Mitchell saying you were away for this part of the last stream. What happened at the end? So we were going through and learning how to use the engine itself, like this side of the engine. So here is a sprite, and then we have a script that controls it. I think this is going to automatically rotate itself. Oh, wait. Run current scene. Yep. Okay. So where I'm up to is having an object and then attaching a script to an object. And this is like a simple thing using delta time to modify the current rotation of the object by its angular rotational speed by the delta time. And then its velocity is its up vector rotated by the current rotation multiplied by its pixels per second or minute speed, I guess. And then the position gets updated by that. Yeah. So let's see where that puts us here. This puts us before listening to player input. It would be this one. And that circle looks familiar. Let's run that again. Yeah. So moving it around in a circle, we may find the script somewhere down here being the same. Okay, so we're talking about attaching scripts to objects in order to control them, that kind of thing. So we're in this kind of, at the moment, 2D space where we're able to control an item. I actually don't think the 3D space is that fundamentally different. Okay, yeah, angular speed, speed and angular speed. And then turns in place and then draws a circle. And this is the same code that I've got in mine. That looks like pretty much the code that I had. So yeah, this is where I was up to. And then the next one is player input, which is always exciting. So let's continue and learn about player input. Two main tools to process player input in Godot. Built-in input callbacks, mainly unhandled input. Interesting that it's called unhandled input. We'll find out soon. Yeah, the game is highly likely going to be in 2D because I think that the way that I should plan for how it works is a way that I can actually kind of do everything. And 3D modeling is a big step. Not impossible, But if I'm only going to spend like 2 or 3 hours a week on this thing and I want to learn 3D modeling, we're going to be here for a very, very long time before we see results. So I think 2D sprites. There was an option of me, call it, hand drawing all of the sprites and then using them. So we could do something simple like that, but we'll see how it goes. I think that a lot of the joy in games is actually seeing the nice animations of things, though. So who knows? But again, it's like how much can I do, and how much do I want something to just be finished and working, which is the eternal balance with anything that you do is like you want to get it going before you get kind of tired of the project in general. Um, and so getting something functional is probably better than getting something perfect. Anyway, input callbacks. One is unhandled input, which I assume is going to give us what inputs have happened. And then, like the process function, which is something just does stuff, it's a built-in virtual function that Godot calls every time the player presses a key. Right, so it tells you that there's an unhandled input and then you have to handle it. Want to use reactive events that don't happen every frame, like pressing space to jump. To learn more about input callbacks, see using input event. Let's have a look. So you declare a function of unhandled input and it has an event. And then you check the event, and if it's a certain key, then you do a thing. Okay, cool. That's fairly standard for a callback. Like, I don't think that's anything that it's not gonna be too confusing. All right, and we've got all the details. Let's not go into that. All right, I'm not gonna go into this documentation here. I'm gonna try it out first and then go in deeper if I want to know more. Mitchell saying, fair, you're currently learning 3JS React 3 Fiber and you've played around with some pre-made models, but now you actually got to make some custom models and learn 3D modeling now. Yeah, it's real, like, I think that 3D modeling is like an entire career in of itself. So when you consider, like, I think a lot of us here, especially because like a lot of you are people who I taught, so computer science students, software engineers, kinds of things. We think about how long it took us to go from not being able to code to being reasonably proficient with code. We're measuring that in years. I think like full-time years. So the number of hours it takes to be happy with writing code, it's quite a few. And I'm going to assume that making 3D models is exactly the same. You've got that kind of like, if you do have a spare like 3,000 hours, then yes, you can do it yourself. But if you don't, you're probably not going to get time to learn how to do it. And Mitchell's saying, yeah, probably going to go for a very basic minimalist style with it. Fair enough. Yes. Okay, so let's see. We're going to take input. We're going to use the input singleton here, as we need to know if the player wants to turn or move every frame. So input singleton. So singleton, I assume, is going to be like a global object. They literally say it here. A singleton is a globally accessible object. So it's going to be, I forget what they call it. When you have a global object, but only one of it can ever exist, and it is accessible everywhere, and it's the same one. So I feel like this is one of those where it's like input is always whatever the human is pressing on the keyboard or mouse and whatever, and every part of your program can access it and read what the current input is. Godot provides access to several in scripts. It's the right tool to check for input every frame. Yeah. Mitchell, you're saying you're trying to make them interactable. It's hurting your brain. Like 3D objects interactable. I guess there's a lot of learning in there, right? Okay, but we're still on the basics here. It was like basic input. So for turning, use a new variable direction in our process function. Replace the rotation and angular speed with the line with the code below. So if direction is 0, oh no, we set the direction to 0 to start with. Then if the input is left, UI left, which means maybe it's like A or arrow key left and other things, because this looks like a generic multiple possibilities for left. Left is direction -1, right is direction +1. And then you do the rotation to change the angular speed multiplied by the direction. So we're either going positive rotation or negative rotation multiplied by the delta. All right, that's cool. Oh, I think I remember why my Godot window was like a vertical window like that. I was splitting like these to make it easier to work with. Okay, so instead of this choosing what our rotation is going to be, we're going to make our rotation by checking checking the input. Oh, I just put a semicolon in there. That's how I know it's been 2 weeks since I did Godot. I've instantly reverted back to semicolons. Okay, if input is action pressed, UI left. Reminder what delta is again. Delta is time. So this will be, I think it's measured in seconds, not milliseconds, but it'll be how much time has happened since the last frame. So that way, if your frame time is not consistent, multiplying your angular speed by delta will mean that the longer it took you to render the frame, the further you turn, which means in real-time terms, you'll always turn at a consistent rate regardless of how irregular your frame rate is. So the longer it's been since you last processed something, the further you go. Yeah. This is like the real-time programming stuff. And it's actually quite funny because like you talk to game programmers and this is like kind of bread and butter. People learn this from the beginning. But if you talk to kind of, I don't know what you would call this, like traditional programmers, people who haven't worked in real time, this is actually like unfamiliar, right? Whereas I could talk to like most, like, for example, CSE students who had not done any kind of graphics, or I don't know what other real-time courses we have. There's no reason why you would know about Delta time. So it's interesting. Oh, hi, Casey. Well, Casey has no idea what is happening. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Mitchell saying Marvel Rivals is having issues with this. The more frames are giving players more advantage. Oh, that's no good. Yeah, that means that what they've done is they are using a different system from the delta time for things, and they're allowing things to happen differently, because a lot of physics engines don't necessarily like working with delta time. They're much happier if it's like lock this to 60. Like your server will never go above or below 60 frames a second. It will process things like clockwork. Then you can be much more consistent with things. But delta time is nice because it's sort of like gives you this smoothness regardless of how well your computer hardware is going. Okay, so let me continue. So we had if the input is left, then our direction, is -1. So if we don't press anything, our direction is 0. So if we don't press anything, we're not changing direction. So 0 change. If we do press something, we either turn to the left or turn to the right. I'm going to copy paste this. And this is UI right. And this is direction 1. So if we press right, we go positive. If we press left, we go negative. And then our rotation is equal to the speed at which we rotate, which is currently pi, multiplied by the direction we chose, multiplied by how much time has there been since the last time we changed direction, so how far we're going to go. Yeah, and so we will do no change to the rotation if we're not pressing anything. We do change it if we are pressing something. Okay, and I think that's what they're saying there. I've just like explained what's in this text, I think. Yep. Yeah, and they're explaining the UI left and UI right, predefined in every Godot project. So you could map this to keyboard, you can map this to a gamepad and stuff like that. You can see and edit input actions in your project by going to the project settings. Let's have a quick look and see what they are. Input map tab. Input devices? Did I skip part? Oh, input map, it's a whole tab, yes. So let's have a look for certain things. UI left. Am I not looking for the right thing? You can see and edit input actions in your program, in your project. I'm not sure what that means by input actions. I don't know if that's keybinds or something else. Anyway, let's leave that for now. Save this. Okay, I've done all that. Now moving when pressing up. To only move when pressing a key, we need to modify the code that calculates the velocity. Okay, so this was the velocity stuff here. And we'll just write new stuff and then get rid of this once we're there. Comment that out for now. Okay. So first up, the velocity is a 0 vector. It's nice that there's a define for 0 so we don't have to do it, because otherwise we'd have to call it a 0,0 thing, whereas this should work with lots of vectors and just zero them out. Okay, and then if I'm coding in C again. I love how there's so much muscle memory, and it only takes me a week off from streaming to like suddenly go back to my muscle memory. Okay, so if action pressed is UI up, so this is our forward button, then our velocity is the up vector rotated by the current rotation, which has been set before. Oops. I typed over my own bracket there. And the velocity is a direction and a speed, and we have a speed there. All right, there's probably nothing else we need to do there. So let's have a go, and we'll find out which buttons work now. Okay, it's not WASD. Okay, I don't think it's moving. Oh, wait. No wonder it's not moving. Give me a sec. So we set up a velocity and notice that position is velocity times delta. So we set up a velocity, but I didn't actually connect that velocity to anything. So it technically has a velocity, but if you don't change its position, then the velocity is not doing anything. Okay, so now its position changes based on its velocity. And hopefully this will actually do stuff now. Yeah, we're driving. We're driving. We have input. Lovely. Yeah, I missed out on the extra part of the physics where I was like working on the speed and the direction, but not actually having the speed and the direction have any effect on the object. But now we're good. Now we've got our little thing driving around. So this is actually quite funny because I'm making a coding game where you can't control the character. You have to write code for it to follow. So character controls is actually not necessary, but it's good to learn this. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Get my controller out. Oh, it works. So we are fully integrated. Let me just move this thing around. See? That's the nice thing about working in a game engine, is that you don't have to worry too much about like inputs being highly specific and you having to recode them and stuff. Like you just connect it and it goes. Oh, also Mitchell, as a gacha player, do you recognize this one? It's the 8-bit Do Chongyun controller from Genshin. It's quite cute. I got that a while ago, and then like it came with like a little keyring and like the little you can see they're a little bit twisted, but like the actual uh stick covers are the icons for his abilities. It was so funny. It was one of those things where it's like I needed a new controller because I kind of busted my old one. Um and it was like, what controller am I gonna get? And I looked around, I was like, ooh, there's a Genshin one. I'll buy that one instead of a good one. Although it is actually a good one, because 8-bit Do is like pretty good, pretty famous for being a good brand. But definitely like instead of the newer Hall effect buttons and stuff like that, I went for the older one because it had a Genshin thing. Okay, so here we are. The script is running. We have control of it. And now we know how to do user input. I mean, I'm sure I'll forget all these things, but because I'm likely to forget the actual specific functions and everything, but I'm sure like I'll pick it up again as we go along. Yeah, controller mapping is giving you flashbacks to graphics and mapping the game to VR controls. Yeah, VR I think is a lot harder because it's like you're not as sure about what's going on, and there's so many axes, especially when you've got the whole like the hand can do anything kind of thing. There's a lot going on there. Oh, interesting question here. Someone's like, this is good, but how do I code controls from a mobile device? No keyboard or mouse. And they use touchscreen button to create touch-based controls and things like that. Oh, cool. All right. So we have done player input. Mitchell's remembering staying in the VR labs till like 2, 3 a.m. They would have been a lot of fun. You know, at one point, the VR labs at UNSW, I was joking about them. I was like, I'm gonna call these the Marc Chi labs because at that point in time, they didn't have anyone else who was gonna use them. And they were like, Mark, if we get a whole bunch of VR headsets and attach them to like hardcore gaming computers, would you use this? And it's like, hell yeah, I'll use that. And then I quit. Very awkward. Very, very awkward. But I think that would be fun. It'd be fun to work on that stuff. Okay, next thing, using signals. Just laughing. Okay, in this lesson, we'll look at signals, messages that nodes emit when something specific happens to them, like a button being pressed. Other nodes can connect to that signal and call a function when the event occurs. Right. So this is communication between game objects, as far as I can tell. It's Ali's lab now. Yeah, yeah. It's good though. I mean, like when I left, they hired like 3 people, 4 people, I think. Like Sasha was my direct replacement, but they knew they needed more teaching focused people. So I think it was like Jake and Ali and someone else. I don't know if they're all still there or not. It has been, what are we thinking? 3 years? Wait, it's 2025. When did I leave? Start of 2020. Oh no, it has been 3 years. I left at the start of 2022, so it's been more than 3 years. So Yeah, those people have had enough time at UNSW to have careers there as long as I did. So I'm sure they're all doing interesting stuff now. Oh, they don't want you in there for exams. They don't want you in the VR lab when they're trying to run exams in the area. Oh, cool. So all the staff are still there. That's good. They may be hitting their 3 year limit where I was thinking about myself and a bunch of other people who left at around 3 or 4 years. It's like, this is as much as I can take. I'm out. But I don't know. I hope that UNS, like CSC in particular, saw me go hard and burn out, and then they're going to make sure that they're all of the kind of people in the same kinds of jobs that I was doing are like to do it, like kind of given a more sustainable way to work so that they don't burn out. Oh no, you're saying no, you can't run exams in the VR lab. It must be a different environment, right? Because you're probably running Windows there. Just because like all the VR stuff needs like Steam or Facebook and stuff. Oh, they just don't want people touching their equipment. Yeah, like it's so funny. Like a VR lab, I would just turn it into like a you know just a like a LAN cafe permanently. We're doing research. We're doing 3D graphics research. Hmm. Okay, back to Godot learning signals. Okay, so it allows one game object to react to a change in another without them referencing one another. Okay, so loosely coupled. I want to say API, but it's not really an API. But it's like two objects, and instead of them being hard linked to each other in code, the signal is the thing that links them. So you could have multiple things signaling each other without them having to necessarily know exactly what the insides of the other object is. And I think that makes sense, because otherwise you have to code the insides of things relative to each other. And every time you change the code inside an object, you got to change the code of everything that was attached to it, which is going to get cumbersome. And especially with objects maybe not always being coupled to each other, they would be attached to different objects. I can see the signal thing being really useful. Using signals limits coupling. Yep, there we go. I love how I just talk about it and then I read it and it's like they're saying the same thing with less words than I am. Okay. Life bar that represents the player's health when the player takes damage or uses a healing potion. You want the bar to reflect a change. In Godot, you use signals to do that. So the player takes an action, a signal goes off, the UI receives that signal and then does the thing. Like methods, signals are a first class type since Godot 4. Not sure what a first class type is, but I assume it's like the main things that they've implemented. This means you can pass them around as method arguments directly without having to pass them as strings. Okay, so that they're fundamental objects of the language, I guess. Which allows for better auto-completion, is less error-prone. Okay, cool. Game programming patterns. Yeah, I feel like a signal is a pretty common design. Oh, it's an observer pattern, right? So all of the objects are just watching for signals, and when they turn up, they react. Mitchell saying, you're laughing. You remember while you were doing work in there, saw people just having a gaming sesh. I was one of those people. Back when I was an undergrad, I was getting into like retro emulation stuff, and I managed to get a arcade machine emulator running on the lab machines at CSE. I remember we didn't get kicked out of the lab entirely, but someone was just like, "Hey, you guys are just playing an arcade game on the keyboard here. Can you please be quiet, because like you're just like yelling over everyone while they're trying to do homework." I was like, "Sorry." Sorry, but it was a very good exercise in how to configure something and get it installed well. So I learned something out of this. I I feel like emulating arcade games and playing them has become something that's like I don't know what you'd call it. Like it's not a core memory, but it's like it's at that level. It's something that I do regularly. And then there's this one arcade game called Aliens versus Predator. It's a Capcom game, but like since the license kind of, I don't know, expired at some point in history, it's barely ever been like remade or remastered or released with any kind of Capcom classics or anything like that. So it's like this one of the best kind of side-scrolling beat 'em up games ever. And pretty much the only way that you can play it now is via emulation and stuff like that. So I go back probably, I'm gonna say like once a year, even less than that, and I replay the whole game because like those coin operated arcade games, they take so little time. It's like 2 hours and you finish the whole game. Like they were designed to kind of get, you know, $20-$30 out of you and then you finish it. Like if you actually carried $20-$30 worth of coins with you, you could probably guarantee you'd finish the game. Um, and it would only be like some of like the Ninja Turtles ones, only like an hour and a half or something like that. Like it's not that long, but like yeah, I just love going back to them. And obviously on emulators now, you don't have to care how many coins you're putting in because you're emulating it. So you're just pressing a button and you get credits. Um, but it's kind of fun to go back through those games, and there's a lot of like really, really lovely nostalgia hit from playing them. I think there's actually, I can't remember what it's called, but there's an engine you can use to make Street Fighter like games, which is a lot of fun. Also love Street Fighter, but I find that my love for Street Fighter is becoming more and more academic and less practical. Where it's like I love the idea of Street Fighter, I love the ethos of the game and all this kind of stuff, but actually playing it, I can't be bothered. Because I got Street Fighter 6 and I played it. I even bought a, where is it? Hang on. Go to the big camera so you can see it. A hitbox. So this maps to either keys or controller buttons, whichever one you want. So you up, down, left, right. And this here on the thumb is also up. So you can use this for jumping and then left, right, and down if you want. Or if you're too used to WASD, you just use it like that. And then you've got your punches and kicks here and a bunch of extra buttons if you want to use them and stuff. These things at some point in fighting game history have replaced the arcade sticks because you can get really, really precise inputs using your fingers on your left hand instead of using like all of your fingers just for a joystick. People are using these a lot more. I got it, started using it, and then I got bored of Street Fighter and went off to do other things. Very silly. I think at some point in my past I would have gotten annoyed about getting bored and then sort of wasting something. But nowadays I don't find that as much of a problem. And I think this is like the kind of the ADHD realization that like if you force yourself to commit to things, you may end up just kind of like hurting yourself in the end. And it's funny because like this project and this streaming is about um seeing if I can use like a minor amount of social pressure to make sure I finish a project, and it's gonna have some kind of benefit to like the way that I want to do things. It's like remembering uh how to do dev and stuff like that, and actually like putting together a game and stuff, because I always talk about making computer games and honestly haven't made any for like, I want to say over a decade, I think. So like all I am is again academically interested in it rather than actually practically doing it. So yeah, um, yeah, Street Fighter's fun like that. So like you know old arcade games, I've got like all this kind of memory and nostalgia, and it's really fun. Um, but whether I actually get into it as a regular thing to do, is less so. I used to work um closer to the city, and like quite a few times, like when I'd get to the afternoon, I'd be on my way home. Instead of going straight to the bus stop to go home, I'd go to like a time zone that was near my work, and I'd just play some random arcade games like half an hour, and then I'd go home. And that's kind of fun, and it's kind of silly, you know, like it's just this kind of slight nostalgia hit of I think a lot of like playing light gun games because they're kind of cute, like having a physical kind of thing you get to play around with. That's the kind of thing you don't always get at home, and you go home and you play other games, you know. Yeah. So it's kind of fun. I think I have a soft spot for um old arcade stuff. And I mean, like, you know, like I've got my whole the little arcade handheld. Well, it's not arcade, sorry. The whole like the Game Boy Advance style handheld that I've been playing around with and stuff. Started playing Chrono Trigger recently, and then I was just like, I don't have time to play this. This is like a 200-hour RPG, and then ended up playing Cyberpunk instead. But we'll see. We'll see. Mitchell, you the times that you went to removed all the fighting game machines. You know why? I reckon they're not money makers anymore. And I reckon everyone just bought them on their consoles, and you don't get a worse experience at home with those nowadays. I reckon arcades are now going for like, what kind of games do we make money with? So either they're games with big props, like, you know, the ones where like you have the steering wheel and everything, or you're sitting on a motorbike or a big gun or something, or like air hockey and things like that, or things that just directly make money, like claw machines and gacha and stuff like that. Oh, you used to be so good at Tekken. I feel like we're all like, even people who don't know it, are split in some way between which fighting game that they kind of intuit into. So I'm 100% Street Fighter person, but you'll get other people who are like Tekken people, other people who are Mortal Kombat people, and then the the weird outlier people who are the Soul Calibur people. I remember playing a bit of Soul Calibur and liking it and stuff, but I never had the kind of I don't know, easier understanding of the game the way I had for Street Fighter. Um yeah. Casey, you have a friend with a room full of vintage arcade machines. Oh, you know, a collector. I mean, I would, part of me would love to do that because when you think about it, um, depending on the vintage and depending on how much original stuff you want to get, if you just want to get arcade machines to play like collections of games or emulation and stuff like that, you can get cheap cabinets for like a couple of $100. Um, and then even just like run something like a an emulator in it, and then you could have a whole like kind of arcade in your house nowadays in a way that like in the 80s would have been prohibitively expensive. And it's like, if these machines don't make money, there's no point having them. So yeah, I would love it, but I mean also like I live in Sydney, so I have the problem of like, even if you want nice things, you're gonna have to spend an extra $1 million to get enough space to do things. Like, I don't know, you can't quite see it behind me, but in this cupboard here is stacked all the way up there a whole bunch of board games. And I've kind of run out of space, but I don't want to get rid of them because I like them. And yeah, and it's kind of like, well, you know, I was gonna buy some more board games, but I don't have space for them. I'm not really playing them either, so like, part of me is what's the point, and another part of me is no, you're collecting it because you like it, so you can do that if you want. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Mitchell saying you would play the fighting games all the time because you just had to pay once. Oh yeah, you're right. You pay once and people keep challenging you. If you can keep winning, you can keep playing. So maybe that's the kind of thing that they don't want because it's a little bit too skill based and they'll make no money. So you'll put in like $2 for half an hour and then that's no longer making them any money at all. You said Guilty Gear looks cool. I've seen only tiny bits of it. I'm so out of touch with the the present state of fighting games. I tried to play like the single player kind of world tour thing in Street Fighter 6 and I just didn't kind of get anywhere. Casey's saying there's a Switch 2 controller like the one I just showed you. Ah, that's quick. But Street Fighter is one of the first one of the launch titles, right? Street Fighter 6 is one of the launch titles. Hitbox Switch update. Hitbox is like the main company that first, I think, commercialized these. Yeah, so they're saying that the hitboxes people have are compatible with the Switch 2. Let's see. Firmware download. Switch mode. I'm not sure if that's a Switch or Switch 2. No, oh, sorry, 2019. I've hit the wrong link. Not the Switch 2. But I assume that these things are going to work. Actually, nearly anything that works on the Switch should work on the Switch 2. So yeah, it makes sense, right? Street Fighter 6 was a Switch 2 thing, right? I know there's only like, 10 games that launched. Yes. Street Fighter 6 is one of the 10 to 15 games that are the launch titles. So it makes sense for people to want to use the hitboxes on it. Anyone got a Switch 2 yet? I haven't, because my Switch 1 has been sitting around, not being played. I kind of like have instead I've been playing my ROG Ally when I play. But even then, it's kind of funny. Like I haven't actually been using my ROG Ally to play like current PC games and things. I've been using it to emulate whatchamacallit, like Xbox era kind of games, because like this thing is easily powerful enough to overpower what's necessary for an Xbox, which is kind of exciting. So you can go back and play things like Halo 1 the way it was originally played, and I'm kind of like looking at playing Jet Set Radio Future again, because like that's one of my favorite games from the original Xbox and stuff. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. Oh, Casey's saying yes, the hitbox definitely works on Switch 2. You saw someone using it. Collector is an understatement for the person you're talking about. They've spent hundreds of thousands on arcade stuff. That is so cool. It's basically a museum there, which is a lot of fun. And you're saying you're doubling your house with a reno that starts next month. The benefits of living in the country. Yeah. I think no, let's be honest, I wouldn't do it. I'm just like, I was about to say, oh yeah, I think it would be cool to live in the country and stuff like that, but I'm not. I'm so urban. I need density of stuff nearby and like the ability to go places and do things and go shopping easy and stuff like that. I think there's something about me that's like, I like cities. It's like if everyone, like, if you draw a line in the sand and there are nerds and you put them on one side or the other, and there's like the fantasy nerds or the sci-fi nerds, I'm always on the sci-fi side of thing. And even to the point, like, I'm in the niche part of the sci-fi where like the cyberpunk thing is like totally the aesthetic that I've always loved the most. So it's like very, very urban. And when I go to Japan and everything's like these like verticality of neon signage and stuff like that, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is amazing, this is the best. Whereas I think for other people that's quite an oppressive and threatening kind of vista to live in, and they would prefer, open fields and lakes and mountains and trees and stuff. And I do like them. I used to get out into nature a lot, do a lot of rock climbing and stuff, but I think in my most nerdiest, geekiest part, it's like, no, I actually do want to live in the uh, weird dystopian future with like the implanting computers in our brains and stuff like that. Like, I'm there for that. Mitchell saying you're a bit sad about the ethics of the console. I think we're talking about the Switch 2 here, right? Like the ownerships of games and the console. Yeah, I don't like the whole this cart doesn't have the game on it. It just has a encryption key that allows you to download the game, and that's it. Or worse, the Switch 2 box with a piece of paper in it with a code that says you can now download the game. I think Switch 1 games, there are Switch 1 games like that late in the cycle. There's a lot of them. So it's a bit awkward, I think. And I do wonder about the future. Like people are trying to put a bit of work into game preservation, the idea that there's a lot of games that we want to make sure don't just get lost to history, and there's plenty of them. Like plenty of them, especially online games that have disappeared and there's no way to run them anymore because like all the code was proprietary, it was never released afterwards or anything. And then other games, it's just like if there's no, if there was never a cartridge, are you going to be able to guarantee that you can actually kind of save this game in the way that a museum would in the future? And so I feel like we might be going into a future where there's a gap, and there's this weird gap where we have no games saved because they were purely digital and the way to play them was on a server, and that server was always locked. Like no one ever got the access to the code. The company eventually loses that code and it's over. Right. Yeah. Oh, Casey, you've got a Switch 2, but you've been playing Fantasy Life I on the PS5. I heard of Fantasy Life I, and it seems really fun, but I haven't gone into it. I'm in this weird philosophical state at the moment with games where I have bought so many games already that I'm trying to at least finish a significant percentage of the games I bought previously that I thought were good and I wanted to play and never played. So that's why I'm on Cyberpunk at the moment. So I'm going to finish that before I purchase anything else. The funny thing about that is I'm going to get a new monitor. So instead of buying games, I'm buying very, very expensive tech to make the games I'm playing look amazing. So I've been looking into like an OLED monitor, and I'm going up from 1440p up to 4K because I figure with upscaling technology at the moment, I can go to 4K and not significantly lose performance, and I'll get a much nicer look. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking at it this week, I think. We'll see what's happening. Also, I haven't got a PS5, and I think that Ghost of Yotei may be the one that like tips me over the edge and makes me buy a PS5 because I love Ghost of Tsushima, and I kind of want to play Ghost of Yotei, but then also like, am I going to spend like $1,000 on a console just for one game? Actually, how much is a PS5 now? Also, if I buy a PS5, I'm obviously going to buy a PS5 Pro instead. Yeah, it's $1,000. Oh wow, the old PS5 is cheap now. 600. Wow, it's the same price as the Switch. Oh wait, even cheaper, 550 for the digital edition. But I think I'd want the Pro now if I was going to buy it. But you could literally buy 2 PlayStations for 1 PlayStation Pro. So that's a bit much. Sorry, I was just looking at stuff on my other monitor. That's not important though. I was just looking at prices. Okay. Let me go back over chat. Chat's moving in front of me. Mitchell's like, plus the next Pokemon game doesn't need the Switch 2, so you probably get it when the Pokemon needs it. All right. So when the Switch 1's no longer supported. My Switch 1 is the old Switch 1, so it's not even the OLED. I bought it before the OLED came out, so I'm sort of like I've got the oldest version of the Switch 1. So I can't even be bothered getting it out. I'm like leaning towards setting up an emulator on my PC for Switch rather than actually getting my Switch out of its box and playing anything on it. Also, because I know if I play Switch games on my PC, like I'm happy to like I already own the games. I've just never played them. But like Zelda, I haven't played Breath of the Wild. But like if I play it on my PC, it's going to be upscaled and at a high frame rate. It's actually going to run a lot better. So and especially now that I know how to do emulation stuff, I feel like that might be easier than getting the Switch out and running it. Casey's waiting for Donkey Kong. That looks like it's going to be super cool. Yeah. But again, I'm kind of like in that same thing where I'm just like, I can't even be bothered with new games anymore. I'm just like, the longer I wait before purchasing games, the cheaper they're going to be. And they're not going to be worse games just because they were released last year or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. I got really excited about Dune Awakening, the new kind of slightly MMO survival game set on Arrakis in the Dune universe, and I'm just like, oh, I love that universe so much, and I'm kind of excited to do it, but I'm just sort of resisting at the moment. I have to actually buy it and play it because I don't have time. I've got other things I'm doing. Casey said you're contemplating moving to Canberra, but it's a 2-hour drive, so you're there most weekends. So you do get to see the city. Like 2 hours, not that far. I think even like if you lived in Sydney, there are places you can live in Sydney where it's nearly 2 hours to get to the CBD anyway. Maybe like the Blue Mountains and stuff like that. Blue Mountains not really Sydney, but you know, sort of like that. Mitchell says, you're the same like me. You like the futuristic shows and games more than fantasy. Yeah, it's kind of like, but like being like a full-on geek, you kind of do everything. Like I'm still going to play Baldur's Gate 3, but it's like I'm going to finish the Cyberpunk DLC before I play Baldur's Gate 3, and then you can see my preference. Although Cyberpunk I should have finished ages ago, because it's been out for ages. But I also don't want to get too deep into should with my gaming time. You know, feeling like you have an obligation to do certain things with your gaming time, I feel like leads down a negative path, right? You're supposed to be just having fun with this. So have fun with whatever you want to have fun with. And if that means putting aside the thing you spent like $100 on, like you spent $100 on a game because that's how expensive they are nowadays, and you didn't like it that much, you go back to another game, I think that's okay. And we got to be okay with doing that. Like, are you going to suffer through 100 hours of something just because you spent money on it, and then you're going to kind of ruin your enjoyment to do that? And I'm trying to get away from that kind of like obligation to do things and like do things because I genuinely want to. Casey's saying the 6-story Bandai store in this in a small city in Japan was so cool. Oh, Japan is so good. I love it. Mitchell saying you understand why they're doing it. Like with the Switch 2, they want to fight those game cartridges with the micro SD cards with a ton of games on it. Yeah, I think I think I'm on this kind of slippery slope with the emulation stuff, because when I bought my little emulation toy, it came with an SD card which had like, you know, like 200 games on it, and I was like, I'm taking that out and I'm not going to use it, but like in the end, I'm still downloading games that I didn't buy. But you know, they're not actually available anymore, so it's sort of okay. But like they had stuff like, I think there was like Balatro and stuff in there, and I was just like, that's not cool. You know, that's present day, and it's not even that expensive. You can buy that. So there's an element in the emulation scene of piracy, definitely. So trying not to do that too much, but I'm happy to do that for games that are literally no longer in production and the companies don't even exist anymore and stuff like that. Like, I'm happy to download those, but like kind of ripping off present day games, it's not quite as cool. Mitchell saying crazy the PS5 is like finally easily to get, and now there's talks of the PS6. I reckon even if they talk about the PS6, it's still a long way away. Like if they mention it, so if at some point PlayStation says the PS6 exists, that would be the beginning of a marketing cycle. It'll take like 2 years or something like that, I reckon. Yeah. Mitchell's also saying there's a pack of Final Fantasy Collector Magic the Gathering packs that is more expensive than the PS5. I did hear about that the Final Fantasy Magic set is like sold out and now worth a huge amount of money. I looked at the Warhammer Magic set and I was like, oh, it'd be exciting to have the Warhammer Magic set. And then I remembered I don't play Magic the Gathering. And I'm just like, why would you buy that? Like, you're just going to buy everything with Warhammer written on it? And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, I am indeed going to buy everything with Warhammer written on it. I'm not that bad. I think I am pretty bad with the Ninja Turtles. I will buy many things with the Ninja Turtles name attached to it, regardless of whether I need them or not. I bought a pair of shoes that are Ninja Turtle shoes when I was over in Singapore. I think I showed them on a previous stream when I was showing my the swag I brought back from Singapore. So yeah, I'll buy a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff. I've Kickstarter backed two different Ninja Turtles games that should be coming out sometime this year, getting delivered sometime this year. One's a reprint of the old Ninja Turtles role-playing game, which I think I still have the original, like 1980s, late 1980s or early 1990s Ninja Turtles role-playing game somewhere. I think it's at my parents' house. And then there was another one for this game system called Unmatched that I was getting. And then last night, I nearly bought the Ninja Turtles add-on for Zombicide because I heard that Simon Games, the company that made Zombicide, has sold the IP because they're going out of business. I think tariffs hit them really hard, and I think they were already struggling when tariffs hit them. So they've sold off the license, and I'm just like, do I need to buy that now if I want it? Because if I don't, I won't be able to get it later. And I'm just like, oh, how much do you want it? Are you even going to play it? And it's just like, I don't know. I'll probably do it anyway, but we'll see. So Casey and Mitchell are now talking about trading card games. Wait, they're still called TCGs, right? Oh, because they're still technically trading. Yeah. Prismatic Eevee box is $500 because of how scalped they were. Yeah, that's a bit sad. It's actually really full on now that stuff like Pokemon cards are so valuable that people are robbing game stores of Pokemon cards because they're valuable enough that you can steal them and sell them and make good money. So it's like this weird thing where in the past, like, if you were going to break into a shop, you'd try to break into like a jewelry store or something like that. But nowadays, people will break into a board games shop. Probably because a board game shop has way less security than a jewelry store. But who knows? Mitchell, I love it. Pokemon cards you like to collect, but the game isn't as fun. Whereas with Magic, you collect and at least the game is fun. Yeah. But there is that fun of opening packs and seeing what you get. Yeah, I get that out of gacha games, so it's kind of fine. I get that out of my online games, and I actually think that even like being fully addicted to games like, because I'm fully addicted to like Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero, but I'm spending like $20 a month on both of them, and that's it. Like I don't spend any more money, and so it's sort of fine. Like I'll spend that little amount of money to get the dopamine rush of like pulling for new characters occasionally, and it's okay. Oh, Mitchell's saying the Warhammer Magic decks are actually really cool, and you wish you'd got them. They're still around. They're just very expensive. I saw them go up for like $2,000 or something now. They're very expensive, but they're the best collab product they've done. Yeah. Oh well. You had a friend pull a $300 seller's card the other day from the Final Fantasy set. Wow. The question is, if you do pull a several $100 card from one of those sets, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to sleeve it and keep it as like a kind of a look at the jewel in my collection? Or do you flip it immediately? Do you sell it straight away to just turn it into cash and then either buy more cards for what you want to do, or I don't know, pay rent or something? Like, it'd be interesting to see if that is that's an actual job. Like, knowing enough about the cards to be able to find good cards and flip them for more money, and actually have that as something that makes enough money to like pay for food. Your friend sold it, and you would too. Yeah. I think that's fair enough. Like holding on to it is weird. Did anyone see the Magic the Gathering collection that was on Antiques Roadshow? Someone brought along, so I think someone had passed away or something like that. And they brought along this person's magic collection, and it was all in binders, so it was all protected and stuff like that. And they had a bunch of like first edition bits and pieces. And then by the end of it, the person had assessed it, and they said to them that it was like, oh, you've probably got like 30,000-40,000 pounds. Yeah. It was just like, what? In Australian dollary dues, that's probably over $100,000. And it was just like, what? It was like when they did the Lord of the Rings collab, and there was a one ring, but there was literally only one. They said they'd only printed one of the ring, and then Post Malone bought it off someone for $2 million or something. Like, that is just crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, you saw the thing, Mitchell? They had a first edition of the Power 9 most broken cards in Magic. I don't even know what they are, but yeah. I remember seeing there was like a Black Lotus in there, and I know that's pretty famous for being like one of the early super rare cards that people are like, if you own one of them, it's like it's real serious. Casey, you sold a $600 Charizard. Holy crap. And then you bought more. Yes. Flip it, then flip more. I mean, but like, if you sold one card for $600, you could buy a whole nother box of cards, like multiple boxes of cards, and then still have a lot of money left to, like, I don't know, pay rent, put into a mortgage and stuff like $600 in one go is a whole lot. And it's kind of funny that there's this whole market like that. Like, all they got to do is print cards, and then the market just kind of works itself based on the rarity and things. Mitchell saying your friend did the same thing. Bought a bundle, pulled the card, sold it, and then bought another bundle. Oh, interesting. So you can't always just get cards. Pokemon has purchase limits and no stock. Maybe there's some kind of like, for your own safety, we're not going to allow you to purchase all this stuff because you're all a bunch of addicts and we did it to you, but we're just sorry enough to not let you like go all in on this. Who knows? Okay, give me a sec. I'll be right back. I just realized that my drink is empty. I'm gonna get a bit of water and I'll come back. All right, I'm back. Casey's saying you'll stoke your fire because you're in super country for work. I'd love it if that's like an actual campfire and literally in the middle of nowhere. That would be pretty funny. Mitchell saying Final Fantasy is the first time you've seen a purchase limit on Magic. I guess the purchase limit is to stop scalpers, isn't it? You're saying at some places you've seen it, yeah. So because it's going out of stock and so people scalp it. I see that in Warhammer as well. Whenever they launch a new thing in Warhammer, they'll do like a big kind of collection box. It's not even a collector's box, it's just a collection. And because the Warhammer factory, like, they still make everything in this one factory in Nottingham. They never make enough stuff for the demand. because they're now like this massive globe-spanning empire, and they're still making it all in this one factory in Nottingham. So they literally cannot produce enough plastic fast enough for the demand. So anytime they launch a new set of models, it sells out in like 5 minutes. And if you don't get it in that first package deal, you have to spend more for it later when it comes out in like separate packages. And so everyone's just like racing for the pre-orders and stuff. Hey Mitchell, I think I got back before you did. Mitchell, I said the same thing. I don't know if Casey's back or not yet. But I was laughing the like how far out in the country are you, and are you actually stoking an actual campfire and things? Okay, okay, let me go back to screen. I wanted to like I know I'm supposed to be coding, but you know, what's gonna call it? Collecting things instead. So, the thing that I was looking at is the Zombicide add-on for the Ninja Turtles. You're in Deniliquin. You'll Discord your. Oh, you're gonna send a picture of your fire on Discord. You just pull a splinter out. Oh, like it's like raw firewood, isn't it? So there's a Ninja Turtles add-on for a particular version of Zombicide, and I was like, now that Zombicide's potentially gonna be either dying or just not dying, it's probably just gonna get paused for quite a while. I was like, do I want to finally actually pick up a copy of it? Because I played Zombicide years and years and years ago at a PAX, and I thought this is actually quite a fun game. It's a nice little dice chucker kind of thing. And then I never got a copy of it. And now they've released 18 million like versions of Zombicide, and one of them has a Ninja Turtles add-on where it's like Turtles in Time, where they're dressed up as like samurai and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, this would be so cool. And it's probably about to go out of stock everywhere. So I'm like, is now the time? Do I buy it now? But I don't know. Maybe I should just let it go. Because I'll buy it and I'll be happy that I own it, and I'll put it on a shelf somewhere, or it'll just take up space and I won't do anything with it, you know. Have I seen that Cyberpunk Warhammer-esque game? There is a Cyberpunk board game, but I can't remember. Is it Gangs of Night City or Cyberpunk the board? I think Gangs of Night City is the Warhammery one, right? Where it's actually like kind of a war game. It doesn't look like a war game, but it does look like it has a lot of miniatures. A lot more miniatures than it needs. Oh, so that's like Night City, and then you have all your little things there, and it's like a strategy game kind of thing. There's the other one. Hang on. Where is it? Cyberpunk the board game. Which, let's have a look at how this... Ooh, it has the male V with mantis blades. There's a lot of random pictures there. Let me see if I can find pictures of the actual gameplay. There's a board here and some stuff. It's like rooms and shooting stuff. I reckon this is like the combat encounters from Cyberpunk, that you play them out or something like that. All right, Mitchell's looking for a link. Let me just go to Discord and see. All right. There's Casey's fire. Okay. It's a civilized fire. It's indoors. Cyberpunk Combat Zone. So that must be new, right? Let's have a look. Oh, is that really new? Monster Fight Club. I know them. They made the Borderlands board game. What's it? I kickstarted that one. Is this? Oh, I think I had heard about this one. So it's like a skirmish war game set in Cyberpunk. So it is very Warhammery. Yeah. Yeah, and you get like you have a starter set with like right, two-player starter. Oh, it doesn't looks like it doesn't even have miniatures, the two-player starter. Oh, it's totally Edge Runners. Oh yeah, it is. This the starter is Edge Runners, but you can buy other gangs. Right, and this veteran bundle is probably with the actual miniatures. Right, so they're saying it's easy to learn. There's also another one based on Halo. So it's based on like the Halo multiplayer modes and stuff like that. I I have this thing where it's like I don't think I can support new games. Like I just don't have the time to to actually play these, let alone, you know, go all in the way I used to and actually paint stuff as well. So yeah, this looks so wargamey. It's got like the MDF terrain and everything, and you're fighting in this kind of wastelandy kind of space. Actually, this still has the acrylic standees. There's no actual miniatures here. Oh no, it comes with in miniatures. All right, fine. That's what's his name? David Martinez, the Edge Runners guy. He looks real swole there. Oh no, maybe that's him. Or maybe that's both him at different stages of his like cyberneticness. And there's the I've forgotten her name, but the awesome, hilarious little cybernetic girl with the giant hands and the shotguns. She was my favorite. She's just like open brutality. It was a lot of fun. Oh, Adam Smasher there. Right. Oh, those are the same dice in the Borderlands game. Oh, David was one with the gun. That was the bigger guy. That guy. Main. Right. Okay, so David's the skinnier one. Okay, so it's not quite as swole. Yeah, that makes sense. That's him. They have just have similar hairdos. Mm. I haven't watched that in a while. Apparently they're making another one. Um yeah, so I was thinking about that zombie side thing, but you know, I'm a bit like, what am I gonna do with it? It's like, oh, Rebecca. Yeah, that's it. It's been so long since I watched it that I've forgotten their names. Oh wait, there's little David there. That's him before he gets the like the all of the upgrades. So this is post Sandevistan and this is pre Sandevistan, I assume. So it's Rebecca, and that's the hacker, the netrunner, Lucy. Yeah, so it's like David, Lucy, and I'd forgot the others because those two are the main characters. Trauma Team Pack. Oh wait, I went back too far. Yeah, this is the one that I have, is the Borderlandsy one. It's okay. It's an okay game. That's like you know, it's always funny when someone has spent like $200 on a Kickstarter backing of something and then they just go, yeah, it's an okay game. Oh, that's cool. Hey, that's only $40. Wait, this is gonna be US dollars. Oh no, it's AUD. That's a cool miniature. That's that scene at the end. I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, you should buy that to paint. Um, And then I think about how often I'm actually painting miniatures nowadays, and I have so many things in my collection that are you would buy that to paint, um, and then you never painted it. So I think this is perfect for people who just want to like make a cool display. Yeah, yeah. This is more like a statue. I don't think this is a game piece. If it's a game piece, like which one of the two of them is it going to represent, you know? Yeah, I think this is purely because they have the 3D models for the miniatures of both of them, and all they need to do is repose them and make sure they stick together and balance, and then you can live out that kind of final scene from the anime. That's really cool though. All right, where is the trauma team? Trauma team. Oh, interesting. They've got like the bodies on the stretchers and then the actual trauma team are pretty cool. I love the idea that there's this kind of just mechanized, militarized ambulance that was like committed to just going anywhere and getting people out of any situation if they have a subscription to the trauma team. Very exciting, but also no, we are not going to do this. It's like I can't. I can't. It is so funny as well because you go, look, this is a two-player starter set. Yes, it doesn't have any miniatures, so that makes it a little bit worse, but it does look cool, and I'm sure like the rules are probably pretty easy to get into and stuff. But I don't think I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Casey, you still so burnt out by painting. Yeah. So for to point out a little bit of the history, Casey and I both used to be part of the Australian display painting scene, and both of us have kind of like, I think you more than me, Casey, have won some pretty serious awards with our painting and stuff like that. I kind of was a flash in the pan with like a couple of projects that people were excited about, but I don't think I was consistently good the way Casey was. I say was, I don't know if you are anymore, like whether you're still doing it anymore, but I definitely don't paint at that kind of competition level anymore. It was not a fun time by the end. In the beginning, definitely a fun time. By the end, this kind of I don't know, relentless pursuit of stuff like quality and competition wins and stuff like that started to become a level of stress that wasn't it sucked all of the previous joy out of it, so it's kind of gone. I mean, I've still got all my stuff set up here and I still paint a bit, but not yeah, not really kind of trying to make art pieces or anything like that. um for a while I actually got into 2D art, like just drawing and stuff like that, which is a lot of fun because like when you go back into that, it's kind of nice. Like when you go into something you don't know anything about, then there's no pressure because you can kind of do anything. I think I've shown these before, but I got a bunch of drawings. So like there's a random thing that I was like, could I draw people? And I was like, oh, I'm pretty bad at people, but like, we'll give it a crack. And it's so funny because I know how to like render color and stuff, but I do not know how to make shapes on 2D paper because like I'm just not, like I've spent so much time uh painting sculptures that already had their own shapes. So all I know how to do is do colors and stuff like that, but I can't do actual shapes. And so I've got other things like I did this. Wait, I gotta go a bit further back on this one, this kind of night scene. And the funniest thing about this one is it's actually the cover of a, hang on, let me move my microphone a bit. It's actually the cover of a Ninja Turtles issue, but I just took the Ninja Turtle out of it and just did the background instead. But it's a lot of fun because it's like you can see like I'm happy with color and I'm happy with shading and like even like all of the line work and stuff like that because I used to do a lot of comic style miniature painting. Um, but with art like this, I don't have to care because there's no There's no competitions that I'm going into or anything like that. So I just do whatever I want. I got into the whole, we're talking about the cyberpunk thing. I got into like cyberpunk kind of like basically doing landscape art, but in a cyberpunk style. But like that was like a couple of months, and this thing is not very full. Eventually, I might go back to it, but again, there's this the theory of hobbies. The theory of hobbies and the theory of doing stuff so that you get fulfillment out of it. And if you're not going to get money out of something, then you want to be getting fulfillment out of it. So doing it when you feel like it, and then when you don't feel like it, don't do it. And this is this interesting thing about being ADHD amongst hobbies. I used to do a bunch of different hobbies. So when I was in university, I was a rock climber. I injured myself to the point where I could never climb again, which is for some people kind of tragic. For me, it was just an opportunity to move on to something else. But I still see some of my old friends from the climbing days and they still climb. So it's been 20 years and they're still climbing. And it's just kind of like, that's amazing. And I think like the ability for people to stick to one hobby for that long probably gives them a really deep level of fulfillment, but I can't do it. It's like once the learning curve starts to flatten, as you get near the top, I'm like, oh, I'm bored now. I'm bored. I'm moving on to something new. And so like I did that, and like I had the same thing where I got into cycling heaps, and I was like doing a few, like never got really that deep into it, but like a few races and stuff like that. And I built a few bicycles and things and got really kind of excited about it. And then at some point, my interest in it dried up. I guess I hit a point again, the learning curve. There wasn't anything more that I vitally wanted at that point in time from it. And so I just moved on, did other things. That's how I ended up in the miniature painting thing. And again, I hit this level where it was just like, I got to the point where like, yeah, I did a couple of pieces that were like seen on the internet, I guess is the best way to say it. They were big enough to be seen on the internet. Some people knew about me. It wasn't that many, but it was like kind of exciting. And then it hit a point where I was like my creativity versus my actual skills and stuff. And it was like, I don't know where I'm going or what I want out of this. And I was like, well, that's enough. There's enough cognitive dissonance there that it's over. So I went back to like just painting things if I had a specific purpose for it. Like, did I want to make a game that myself and my friends could play? Then I would paint that up to do it. But otherwise, I've got like a Warhammer army that like every couple of months I add one extra squad or vehicle or something to it. And it's like, that's okay, So it's like I will not pressure myself into completion of projects. Instead, I will, when the urge takes me, I will make something. And I think that's a better way of doing things. Casey's saying you could paint at that level, but at the cost of your soul now. Yeah, right. And that's the feeling of like moving on from something and just being like, I remember spending like a whole month on a single miniature. So we're talking like, I don't know, 40, 50 hours worth of effort into one miniature in order to enter it into competitions, and caring so much about what the judges' feedback was going to be and whether I could get into a medal or something in the competition and stuff. But like, holy shit, the idea of doing that now, that seems quite painful. But Casey's saying when you paint basic board game stuff, you feel sad because the voice says you should paint it perfect. Yeah, I've had a back and forth on that, and now I can paint at a lower level, and it's actually kind of nice because I get like fulfillment out of having stuff to do things with now. So here's my box of Tyranids. I won't even bother getting them out. They're not that amazing to look at or anything like that. But I paint them in sort of like a lot of the colors of second edition, and I made my own custom rule set so that you can play Warhammer Kill Team rules, like a modified rule set of Kill Team, and it plays a little bit like Space Marine, the computer game, Space Marine 2, that is. And that was fun. That was a fun project to put together, and now that I've painted it all, I'm just like, done. Don't have to do anything with that anymore. And I've hardly played any games of it. But it was just fun to actually complete, you know? So that was kind of cool. And a part of me is like, I've got there if I bother filling out those squads, because they're just like kill team amounts. But if I paint all the extra bits and pieces that I had purchased in order to do that, um, I could get like 1,000 point Tyrannid army pretty easily. But also when I think about that, it's like, well, how often am I actually playing Warhammer 40k? It's like not enough, not enough for that to matter, you know? So it's just like, yeah, whatever. Let's let that go. But it's okay. I'm happy with that thing, and I can pull that game out at some point if people want to play, and I'll be like, hey, I made this whole custom kill team thing. We can play this and do this kind of co-op Space Marines versus Tyranids thing with Kill Team, which is fun. I've been thinking of bringing it into work and play it with a few people there, but like I need to actually organize it, which is the other hard thing. Is like, hey, I've got this cool thing. Do you want to play it? And it's like I haven't even bothered saying that to people. Casey saying, "Oh, Mitchell, you love Tyranids. That's awesome." Casey saying the art is so subjective too with competition. So it's not worth pursuing if you're only doing it for those accolades. Yeah, right. And I found myself chasing that stuff instead of creativity. And it was interesting because I think that like I had this kind of creative urge to do these really specific sort of art styles and things like that. And it really kind of like, I remember, I think it was Marco Miladinovic, I think is his name, from Craftworld Studio. He said to me that like when he got into competition painting, he found himself toning down his actual joy of painting, because he was one of those people that um went from canvas painting into model painting because like just kind of got into it, and it was like you had to make your art worse for competition so that you could make your competition work so precise that it would be judged well and things. And like he found himself just kind of, you start following instead of creating. And he said that was like the biggest risk of the only kind of way of doing things being competitions instead of like just kind of enjoying the art for what it was. And someone else said that to me as well, Kaha, when I spoke to her about things. Like I showed her the full on black and white stuff that I was working on and things. And I was learning from her about how to paint in her style and stuff, and it was so funny. She was like, don't do anything like me. In fact, don't do anything like any of these other people. Keep doing that. Like what you do, what you're doing, that cool stuff, do that and ignore everything else. Because like I think that was a really nice way of her saying you've got something unique, you've created something really amazing, and you should go all in on the thing that you love doing uh instead of just kind of like following what other people are doing. And it's like it's really nice to have had those people who are like really respected within the miniature painting community say stuff like that. um yeah, I never really followed up on that. I never really committed to the art style that I had kind of, I never perfected it, but the art style that I'd really enjoyed at a certain point in time. Um, yeah, so you and Kara, so Casey had a friend Kara Kara's still doing it, right? And like you might see the hobby in a different way, and that's really hard to reconcile with like you're talking with your friends who are also your rivals in competition and stuff like that, and trying to figure out whether um yeah, some people like competition, right? Some people thrive under competition, other people thrive under different things. So obviously there's something there between the two of you where you didn't uh yeah, didn't necessarily see it the same way, and you're not gonna create your art in the same way, and that's harder to, I don't know, harder to keep doing that, I guess. Hmm. I'm kind of like, do I want to do more coding? I actually kind of have moved entirely out of that headspace now. We're talking about art and creativity instead. Let me Let me go. Hang on, hang on. Let me log in, not on the screen that I'm showing everyone. Okay, just logging in over here. Right. So this is my Instagram, which I every now and then I go back and post something. So like, when did I post this one? 18 weeks ago. Wow. And this was painted years ago as well, but I'm just going back and like putting in the things that I have painted over the years. This is actually kind of recent. Oh wait, 45 weeks ago. It's recent. That means I painted this like a year ago. This is like a comic style Hulk for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I just loved having this photo of the Hulkbuster that I. This um model slowed me down for ages because it was just large enough. Like it's not huge, but it's like it's about 10 to 12 centimeters tall, and just the ideas I wanted to do with these kinds of light patterns looking like, you know, like animated Transformers cartoons and stuff like that. Um, I got stalled on this project for months before finishing it. This one, I painted his skin too dark green the first pass that I did it, and then it sat on my desk for I don't know how long, like months, because I don't know what I'm going to do with this. How do I push it forward? I ended up repainting the whole thing, and it's sort of, yeah, it worked pretty well. So it's kind of funny going back over these and seeing things. So I just like interspersing my 2D art, and then like these ones are just like painted in a very very easy way. Like I just used like contrast paints and stuff like that, which is like high speed painting and stuff like that, instead of trying to be too good with it. And I can see like how much more I could have done with these, but sometimes it's nice to just be like, yep, the paint's on it, it's finished, we're done. This is kind of um my signature style in a sense, is this really graphic novel-y thing. I did this custom base for this for to put it on display for a competition where I was like, use this glass acrylic and actually paint the underside of it. So you slowly build up the paint on the underside, and then when you flip it over, you get that kind of look. That was kind of fun, like little experiments like that. Where's Oh yeah, I did some kind of 2D stuff. So I was doing a I built a little model kit of the blockade runner from Star Wars, the Corellian Corvette. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put this in that picture frame. So I painted the 2D art of the whatchamacallit, of Tatooine. And that was kind of fun because I put that together. And it was nice to put a model kit in a photo frame like that, and for it to match the kind of scene from the movie. So that was very exciting. There was a part of me that wanted to enter this in the, like, Hobbyco does regular competitions, and they actually had a Star Wars competition going at the time, and I was like, oh, I should totally enter this. And then I went, no, the whole point, like, of what I do now is to not enter stuff in competitions, not get caught up in that kind of stuff. This one here was a lot of fun. And so this is that kind of thing, like doing dioramas and doing the whole um like monochromatic style comic painting. So everything has got these like stark black lines on it, but it's a lot of grayscale. And then the red is just like doing some hyper accents. So I did this whole army for a game called Infinity, and brought it to a tournament. Showed it off there. I came second last in the tournament out of like 100 people, because obviously I'd been spending all my time not actually learning how to play the game. but instead painting all of these to be this really specific style. But I did win Best Painted while I came second last. So I nearly got the holy grail for the painter, which is to wooden spoon the tournament because you're so bad at it, but win Best Painted at the same time. So it's pretty funny. I think the one it'll be back here somewhere. The one that made me a minor miniature painting internet celebrity for a very short amount of time was, oh, it's in there, but I think I've got photos of it somewhere, was this black and white diorama. Gosh, I've painted a lot of stuff. I mean, I know that because like I've got my cupboard over there, which is like full of painted miniatures. Oh, this is one that, hang on, I got some good photos. This one here won me a international online competition. I think this was a point where I was still kind of doing that kind of full-on display painting thing. But still, it's hyper stylized. It's still very stylized and not super realistic because that's still kind of how I would do things. This was actually like learning in a class from a guy named Roman Gruber. Pretty sad story because he's Russian. And when Russia invaded Ukraine, he turned everything off. He turned off all his Instagram and everything, and he said, I have no right to create art when my country's making war on people and stuff like that. So it was very kind of like he just kind of shut everything down. I have no idea what he's doing with his career or anything now. So because he was like a professional painter, so it's a bit sad. Oh, here's me winning Armies on Parade at Warhammer Sydney and its old location with my diorama. I think this is... I don't have many photos of it, actually. Casey, you tried to reach out to Roman, but you don't know if he's alive anymore. Yeah. You bought his last painted piece. Ah. So you've got one of the last things that he created, yeah. So this is like one of the peaks of my my painting career. 2019, Crystal Dragon is the Australian kind of national competition, and I won People's Choice that year. So that was the one of the two best in shows awards. One is like the judges and the other's the people. So yeah, that was awesome. It was funny because the judges gave it a silver, so it didn't even get a gold. I think this is one of the only times in the history of this competition that someone's not in the top category but still wins one of the best in shows. But this was like the idea of like painting a diorama of miniatures like it's a comic strip, and I think that was like something that was a lot of fun to do. Oh, thanks, Casey. That to date is still the coolest thing. One of the coolest things. Yeah, it's like I still have it on display in my house, and it's still like one of the things that like I have a lot of joy from. Here's a... I can't remember what this is from. Oh, Volomir. So Volomir is like this one of the famous miniature painters who used to run this monthly kind of thing, and it was like he saw this and said, this is so cool, this is great, and it made his list of the top 100 miniatures of 2018, which is kind of exciting because like there's no way I'm good enough to make that list normally, but I just hit this one point of creativity and people liked it, and I was like quite happy that I was able to do that. Oh yeah, the same piece got published in the Illustrated Fantasy Artist as well, like a magazine for miniature painting. So you're like, just for a moment, I was like, just for a moment, it was very exciting. So where are my actual photos of it? Okay, here are some photos. They're not even that great, these photos. But yeah, so it's so funny. You can just see how it's just like bits of like plastic card and MDF just glued onto um oh, it's bits of cork as well, just glued onto stuff. Like it's not really like that high kind of high production values or anything like that. Yeah, Casey's saying shows exactly that what people like isn't always what the zeitgeist of popularity is. It's yeah, it's interesting that like I remember. Do you remember David? God, what's his last name? David started with a C. That's how long I've been out of it. I've forgotten people's names, but it's like kind of arguably the best painter in Australia. When he saw that I'd won Best in Show and Silver, he actually came up to me and he goes, "You, I'm pretty sure you were robbed. Like that not getting gold is like an injustice kind of thing." So Dave Caldwell, yeah, and that's what he said to me, which is very very nice of him. But I'm also like, it is what it is. I understood that my technical craft of painting did not match the moment of inspiration I had to create the diorama. So like there was this kind of like a yeah, I kind of understood. Okay, here I have some actual kind of close-up photos of it. So like I had a lot of fun with like just painting these kinds of fun patterns on things and stuff. And at the same time, this really exaggerated highlighting on things and then comic style shading on stuff so that it always has this really like full on pop to it. I mean, you can even kind of see there where as I've put these things together, I've like smudged the letters and stuff like that. And this is just my handwriting. So I was really channeling kind of Ninja Turtles again because of my love of the Ninja Turtles, that like all of this stuff is like a little bit rough. I actually think I redid these letters at some point because it was so loose that I went back and redid it. But I was really happy with the way that I kind of did um the highlighting and line work and stuff on these. Just had a lot of fun with it and made it really look like it was sketchy and done with like Poscas and felt tip pens. Yeah. Because when it was in the glass container, was an earlier version of it. I ended up ripping it out and rebuilding it. So that's an earlier photo. Well, that's so funny that. Oh yeah, this must be the before I took it overseas to Golden Demon. So I actually took this to the UK to Warhammer, and I think I had that somewhere. I got a certificate there. Yeah, there it is. I got a commended entry, which means I was close. I wasn't quite close enough to get an actual trophy, but I was in contention and I was like in the judging, which is really nice. Like someone who'd actually won a Golden Demon Slayer sword who I spoke to said that like you should be happy because if you're elevated to the point to get the certificate, you're actually in the running for a statue, and then you never know. Like on the day, it could be like something. What you don't know what the reason is that you didn't get it, and so you can kind of be quite proud of it because you're in like the final cut. And so that was happy. That was a fun time. And I've got oh wow, I was just looking like there's people there who I then met later and made friends with who saw this back then. That's kind of cute. Yeah. That was Natalia, who's like, I learnt from her years after that. Oh, and then I did these like um Ninja Turtle orcs. That was a lot of fun. Very, very silly. I remember someone actually offered to buy these off me at one point. But uh I quoted a price that was legitimate for the number of hours that I'd spent on them, and then they didn't speak to me again. I'm just like, yeah, fair enough. Casey's like, oh, you're sorry you hijacked my stream, but I guess the theme of this has been do what you want when you want and enjoy it. 100%. That is the theme of all of my streams. So I think this stream I will once it uploads later, I'll have to change the thumbnail and go Mark talks about hobbies and painting instead of doing the coding that he was gonna do. That's kind of fun. Oh yeah, this is one that I did that was like I took this around to a couple of competitions and stuff, and like this was a level of painting that I kind of got to that was like very kind of Warhammery, I guess. And I love the orcs because they're just so random and silly. Um, but I never really painted that many of them at this level of quality because it just takes too long. This Hulk shows the kind of comic style. Um, I did bring this to a few competitions, but it really doesn't. It doesn't rate for competitions, even if it's a very, very exciting miniature. And I had a lot of fun painting it. Yeah, see, I got into that comic style thing for ages, doing random comic style experiments and stuff like that. Like this is just like a random 3D print, and I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll paint it. And like I got to the point where I was getting these things to look like, oops, getting these things to look a little bit like a printed page. Yeah, and then I went off and did other things, and then I explored, um, like weird techniques like making these things look like they're on fire and stuff. So I started to get really creative with like just kind of color and randomness and things. And so I think that there's a point you can see after I did that black and white stuff that I just kind of left realism behind and I moved off into a different thing. Like this is just like I don't know what I was doing here, but I was like kind of enjoyed it in the end. It was like just doing all this kind of like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna do it for fun, you know. Um, and I think that this kind of like what even is that? Some weird impressionist kind of thing. I never finished this piece either because it was like I'd done this thing here and I was like I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Oh my god, famous people. That's so cool. There was a point in time where I was famous enough that people were looking at my stuff. Oh, there's Dave. That's like he's like one of the best painters in Australia, if not the best. I would probably ruffle feathers by saying that, but even then, I still think he's probably the best. Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, that's so weird having some super famous miniature painters like posting on my random stuff. Yeah, I don't know though. I think I've kind of fallen out of the scene now. I'd say that people probably don't see my stuff anymore. Back then, I think enough people were watching me because of like some stuff that I'd done recently that like yeah. And so this was me continuing the black and white thing, but with a very impressionist kind of thing, trying to make this thing look like it's moving. Um, I never finished this piece either. I think it's in roughly this state now. I had this kind of like, this is what I was interested in doing. And then I just sort of let it go. Oh, these were cute. I painted these little toys. These are tiny, tiny things. Like these mice are only like a centimeter tall. Casey's saying it's a saying that Karen, you did so much, you were popular because of quantity. Now you'd be surprised if anyone knew who we were. Yeah, yeah. I think stuff moves on like that. And it's weird because everything is so social media based that it doesn't matter if we did something good a few years ago. It's like we're gone now. Like we don't matter anymore. Um I got into Marvel Crisis Protocol, so that was nice to then use my comic style painting in a comic book game. Oh, this was a random thing that I did for fun, where I was like building everything out of random bits, um, um, of scrap plastic and stuff like that. And it's like, here's my random artwork. Casey's saying those are also your favorite. They placed from memory. Which ones were we talking about? Wait. Was it back? Oh, the toys. Yeah, I did get some kind of um award for this. I can't remember what it was. It was potentially like a bronze at a at the Australian painting comp. And I think it was like, it was just the fact that like it was like actually whimsical kind of thing, as opposed to being you know, we do a lot of like very dramatic stuff. And we often, like in miniature painting, don't do cute things. Oh, there's Marco. I took these photos of Marco and Alexandra with their paintings, so I got her to look up like that and stuff. They do really amazing work. I love the creativity and the colors from what these two do. And so I learned from them, and this is the piece I did working with Marco, and like really you can kind of see me really leaning into this impressionist kind of style here, where I intentionally don't finish things, and instead going for this kind of visible brushstrokes, and then trying to get. Oh, Casey, yeah. You still get their emails? I think I still get their emails too. I'm still on their Patreon, but I haven't paid for ages because I'm like, I don't use it. I'm sorry, but I do love both of you and your work, so I hang out anyway. Oh, David liked this one. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, it's a lot of fun doing this kind of like exploring color and stuff like that. But also I think I had a lot of trouble finishing things. And again, having ADHD and not knowing it, and then not knowing why you can't complete projects. And that's an interesting thing, an interesting place to kind of end up in, and then later on figuring it out. Oh yeah, this is like a little further along. Still not quite finished, but I did more on bits and pieces. Maybe I should go back. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I had to be in the moment. There was a place and a time where I was really understanding this color. I did go on and actually do some more stuff with those kinds of colors. And I painted these smaller miniatures with this kind of expressionist style, so allowing the roughness of the brushstrokes and things like that. And I did this set of 3, which also may have won some stuff in some competitions as well, I think. It's hard because like when you're rendering things so inexactly like this, it's hard to win in competitions regardless of like, you know, because I think that this is like a peak of my, this is as good as my skills in color theory ever got here. But because I didn't render it in this like absolutely perfect fashion, it'd be hard for judges to kind of give this awards. Because if you look at this, it's got that kind of that roughness of like, you know, like when dickheads look at art and they go, my kid could have painted that. That's what that looks like. But your kid couldn't have painted that because I studied a whole bunch of color theory to get this combo. You know, like it's not that simple. Like you look at like the amount of color shift that goes on through this, and how it goes from one side of the model is this blue light and the other is this orange light, and then from the front it actually still comes together, you know. So like I was quite proud of the way that I did these, but again, I always had a kind of loose edge to what I did with things, instead of being really precise and kind of like these are confusing your mind. Yeah, so this is me at my peak. I think this is when I was the best that I was at miniature painting, was this kind of stuff and the black and white stuff. And then since then it kind of like has tapered off. Oh, the Ninja Turtles were fun. These are tiny. These are really, really small scale. You can kind of see by the size of the dust in the photo. This was really fragile. Like bits were breaking off this constantly as I was making it. But it was a lot of fun doing the comic style Ninja Turtles. Oh, I have your best piece, Casey. I bought a piece of Casey at a competition. I really loved it and what you did with it. Did I put a photo in here? I don't think so, because I think it was the kind of thing, it's like, I'm not going to put a photo of someone else's art on my Instagram. It's like stealing someone else's art. So I don't think I've got a photo of it here. I'm trying to think of the era that we're in when I bought it off you. It would have been before this. Did I take a photo of it? in order to say this is something I got from a friend, I bought from my friend, and it's amazing. And like, did I try to boost you with this? I don't think I did. No, we're going too far back now, I think. Unless it's this era though, isn't it? It's on your Insta. Hang on. Casey Zazel? Casey Zazel. It'll be here somewhere. So this is Casey's Insta. Casey, oh, you've gotten into all the terrarium stuff since. I think I've seen some. Oh, look at that. See, look at the stuff that Casey does. Or did in 2020. It's so funny when you look at mine and yours. Like, I swear mine is like this kind of like. Mine's like a sledgehammer compared to your subtlety. Like, look how. Hang on. Stop it. Look at the subtle play of light and stuff, nearly subsurface scattering and all this kind of stuff. It's really beautiful. Where's the one I bought from you? It'll be a long time ago, right? We're talking like 2019 or something like that. I'm just hoping that you haven't kept up on Instagram as much. It's like, oh, there it is. There it is. Look at that. Wait. Is that it? I swear it's got more colors. That is it, isn't it? I think the photo is not doing this one justice. I think the colors are richer and more vibrant in the piece that I have. Well, no one will ever be able to tell because it's in my display cabinet now. Yeah, the photo does not do this justice. It is way better than this. Like that. Look at that. That orange kind of looks flat there, but it's not. It's got nuance in person. Purple shift on the photo. This looked wrong to me. This looked like you hadn't finished it. But it is finished, right? But the headpiece looks more interesting on my version. Okay, hang on. Oh, no, I don't want. I was gonna get it out of my display cabinet, but then I have to admit that there's dust in my display cabinet, and the piece is dusty at the moment. I would have to clean it up to show it. So I don't want to, because if I show it now, it still won't do it justice. Also, my webcam's not going to do it justice either. So yeah, no, but it was really beautiful, and like this was more interesting to me than so many of the things that were in its same kind of category that year, like at the same level of the in the competition. Okay, let me go get it. Let me go get it. Give me a sec. Yeah, I can clearly see the difference. I can clearly see it. I don't know if this has come through in the webcam. It's actually not that dusty. Um, get some focus. 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 Can you focus that close? Maybe it's not capable. Maybe it's seeing my face. See the model's face, not mine. It focused for a second there before. Give me 1 sec. But you can, even without it focusing, you can see the color. See the richness of the headpiece, the crown is like this beautiful greeny blue color that the photo was not going with. Yeah, it's locking on my face. I can do better though. I have a setup for hang on. I'm just hooking up my my phone camera. Right. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so this is my phone camera, and to do this the proper way, I will turn on my full-on miniature painting light over here. Right. Looking at how that's appearing on the screen now, I think that you can potentially see the richness and the variety of the color much better with my phone camera than with the photo on Casey's Instagram. You can see a bit of the dust on this side. Oh, there's a lot of it. Be funny if I let and broke broke your model on stream. So you can kind of see how I was talking about the amount of nuance in the color and stuff. There's way more than in the other photo. So yeah, I got quite excited by seeing this one, Casey, when we were, oops, let's go back to, yeah, when we were at the competition that year. It was like, and I was like looking into other people's work and saying like, I want to know more about how other people are doing these things, but there was a lot of stuff that I didn't want to learn from. Because not everyone was going all in with color and stuff like that. So when I saw yours, I was like, I think I wanna keep that one. So that was nice. Yeah. I think that was back in the day where we were like kind of like a lot of us were buying each other's pieces, and so it's like the sheer amount of money it costs to buy someone's artwork, because like buying people's handmade art is like very expensive, right? Like we would spend a lot of money, but if we all kind of like bought and sold from each other, then it's like this net even thing, so it was okay. Yeah. So yeah, it looks amazing, even with a layer of dust on it, which is actually making it not quite as vibrant as it was. Although mostly just on the shoulders and stuff. I think everything that's facing forward hasn't collected that much dust. So the face still looks really good. Yeah, super awesome. Okay, I will leave this here for now. Hopefully I don't knock it over before it goes back in my cabinet. Mitchell saying, do we make the models or just paint them? When you say you guys, there are people amongst us who both make models and paint them. So there's someone in Sydney called what's his last name? Sebastian Seb. Oh, I forget. But anyway, he is someone who has like kind of very, very very good painter, established. Seb Archer, that's it. Yeah. um and he makes his own miniature line nowadays and stuff like that. You get people like that, but the crossover from painter to sculptor is not something that everyone takes. I would say it's quite low. Like, I don't know, I'm talking like maybe at most 5% of like really serious miniature painters go into sculpting. So it's a very small number. Some people are happy painting forever and never sculpting, but some people kind of want to get into it. And there's plenty of people who are pure sculptors who sculpt stuff and then sell it to painters who then go and paint stuff. But in the miniature painting thing, there's actually like, there's less, I think, like there's way more sculptors who are painters than there are painters who are sculptors, if that makes sense. So if people sculpt, a lot of them also paint. Yeah, Seb is the in Australia the probably one of the few people who is hand sculpting and making these high end things. There's plenty of people making stuff for games and stuff like that as well in Australia. Um, 3D modeling, I think, is different from hand sculpting. So some people make stuff specifically for people to paint. Whether they do that with digital or clay or whatever, it's still kind of like sometimes making stuff for people to paint. But then there's plenty of people making stuff to be used in games. So that's like a different market, I think. Yeah. Casey's saying you can make small changes to minis, but you prefer pre-made. And now post-pandemic prefer resin prints. Right. You bought stuff in February, but still waiting on postage. Oh, that takes a long time. And you like the theme of the episode. If you have an idea, you need it now. Are you thinking about like if you have an idea and you have a 3D printer, you can get it happening much quicker, right? Yeah, otherwise the vibe is gone and you never paint it. Fair enough. I have a lot of stuff that I've purchased and thought it was really cool and haven't done anything with it. So I have a pair of miniatures that is Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, and it's like that scene in the Colosseum where they have the fight at the end of, is it Enter the Dragon? Or the big boss? No, it's not the big boss. I think it is Enter the Dragon. Yeah, so I have those two, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna paint them in a diorama. I have Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter, and I was like, I'm gonna get one of those mini arcade machines, rip the guts out of it, and put them in there, and put a little Street Fighter scene behind them. It's like, that's totally me. That's the kind of thing I would do. I never did that either. So I've got these random projects that are like, here's a cool idea, but if I don't get to it, then I kind of never get to it. But again, as we say, side quests, if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't happen, you kind of gotta be okay with like things not getting finished, or you've got to be okay with your brain going, no, you're gonna go do something else now. You've got something else you want to do, right? Mitchell, yeah, they're in fighting stances. So both the Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris one and the Street Fighter one. So I think because it's Ryu and Ken, like Ryu's doing a Hadouken and Ken's doing a Shoryuken, and there were even like attachment bits. So if you wanted to like do the late Street Fighters, like 4 and onwards, and do like colored like swipes of motion around them, you could do that too. Yeah. I've got them here somewhere. No, I'm not gonna go digging for everything I talk about tonight. Okay. I think I wrap it up there. I think this has been fun. Going down this rabbit hole of like call it, like random musings on art and miniature painting and things like that. It's been a lot of fun. But I think I should wrap up the stream there. I've had fun. And I was gonna make a plan for next week, but maybe I don't. And then I figure out what I'm gonna do, and then next week we'll get onto it, whether it's another side quest or whether I go back to actually making things or not. I think it's kind of fun either way, or even like I will just like play some games, because that's what we were talking about earlier, Mitchell, is actually like show some stuff. But we'll see how it goes. Yes, good to see you again, Casey. I think we haven't run into each other since CanCon, right? And that was like a 15-minute conversation, if anything. Yep, sometime in the future, 6 months. Yeah, January, yes. Oh, Mitchell, you didn't know. There was actually a kind of like word got around a little bit back in CSE where they would do things like little quizzes about lecturers, and it's just like, which of your lecturers has actually secretly got like a whole Instagram following for their miniature painting. And then they found out it was me and stuff like that. So I actually still have ex-students that follow me on Instagram, even though I'm nearly completely inactive there nowadays. One of the funniest things that happened on that Instagram is I got a message from the producers of Beauty and the Geek, and they were like, hey, are you like under the age of 35 and single? Do you want to come on our show and be one of the geeks? And I was kind of like, that's pretty funny. I don't meet any of your criteria. I am old and not single. But I offered a counter offer, which was how about I'm not just one of your geeks. How about I come in and I either do like one of those things. I teach people how to code, and then we can do this whole thing about learning computer programming or something, because like that's like what I do professionally. Or I get people painting miniatures or something like that, and they're like, this could be interesting. But then I never followed through. I was like, I could go talk to their producers and things and stuff, but I was just like, actually, I don't know. And I think I ended up just getting work somewhere else, and I was like, let's not get into TV. I don't know what I would do there, you know. But it was a funny moment because it was just like, it's like, do you want to be on Beauty and the Geek? It's like, no, no, thank you. I don't. In no way would I want to be one of your contestants in a show like that. You know, like that's. But at the same time, I think you have misread me. I am not just a regular geek. I'm actually the king of the geeks, and so I should be judging them, not just competing amongst them. I'm I'm so geeky and nerdy. I've elevated well beyond the level of the people that you have as your contestants on your show. Like they wish they could be me. So, yeah, that's a good way to get into showbiz, right? Just be an absolute dick. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you appreciated that. But yeah, I think in the end, it's quite well and good that I never followed through on any of that, and I just let it all go. So I'm happily off in my tech job with my geeky tendencies and stuff like that, and it's like everything's nice and normal. I'm not like attempting to be like some kind of weird reality show celebrity or something stupid like that. Yeah. Okay. On that fun note, I will sign off here, and obviously, very, very king of the geeks. With what have we got? 2 concurrent viewers at the moment, so it's just the 2 of you. So we could have just had this as a this stream could have been an email, but it's all good. I had fun nonetheless, and I think it was fun to pull out Casey's old piece and have a look at it, because I honestly haven't looked at it like in person for a long time, and in person in that, like, not through the glass and kind of in the distance in the cabinet. So it was nice to actually get that in hand again and have a good look at it. It looks really great. You'd watch me on TV. See, that's the funny thing, is it actually potentially, if I'd gone on as a challenge judge or something like that, or someone to put together a challenge for them and stuff, like if I told all of my ex-students that I was doing something like this, they would actually have potentially have a lot of people watching. So it would be kind of funny. Because I did a thing where I judged a miniature painting thing at PAX one year, and it went up on YouTube, and I saw a comment on there just going, "Hey, why is my computing lecturer one of the painting judges?" And I was like, yes. It was really funny. Okay. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you for coming to the stream. It's been a lot of fun to go through a complete side quest and just go through all the painting stuff and things. Maybe one day I will actually paint something on stream. No promises, because everything's a side quest. But maybe I will paint something on stream, because it actually takes a lot longer than we've only been streaming for 2.5 hours. You actually don't get much paint in 2.5 hours. But maybe I'll do something like that. Anyway, see you all soon. Thank you for coming along, and I will be on same channel, same time next week. We'll see if I actually get more coding done or more game dev done next week, or get sidetracked by another random thing. But I will see you all later.